Hey everyone, welcome back to Solo Party. My name is Kane, and we are back with our third combat in Scenario 2 of Dragon Eclipse. We've got our arena set up according to the combat setup, and important to note that this Mystling cannot be tamed. We instead have a summon card here that is going to give us the stats of the different summons that the young Shadeclaw is going to be summoning out. It's shadows. And so the young Shadeclaw's card here is going to inform us how the shadow will operate. It's never going to do anything on its own. It's only going to do whatever the action for that turn says. Now, part of the setup tells us to place one shadow starting out in a chosen leaf space. But if you remember, because we found this token earlier, we were prepared for an ambush, and we actually then get to remove that shadow from the board. So the young Shadeclaw doesn't start with any shadows out on the board, which is important because it has a passive ability that says it cannot gain damage if there is at least one shadow in the arena. So with our first turn, we are going to be able to start damaging it, where normally we would have to take out that shadow before we could start dealing damage to the young Shadeclaw. So we've gone ahead and given our young Emberling the taunt token for this turn, so it's going to start us out. Now for our setup in the Shaded Woods, you can see we have these unstable cones placed here. Whenever one of our Mystlings would enter a space with an unstable cone, we get to deal 1 damage to all opponents within range 1. And if an opponent ever enters a cone area, then it's just going to discard that cone to no effect. And we know for this turn, the young Shadeclaw is using its circle ability, which says to rush, attack, and retreat. And it has a movement of 3, so it can cover a lot of ground. And we started with 1 power from the adventure phase, and we are going to go ahead and use that to give us a dash. And we're just going to move 1 step adjacent. I don't want to activate that unstable cone just yet, just in case we ever get some shadows summoned around it. That will be more beneficial to use to take them out, because the shadows only have 1 health. So if we ever get some adjacent to a stable cone, we don't even have to waste an attack to get rid of them. We can just move into that unstable cone space to take them out. So then for our action, we're going to choose Strike in slot 4. That's going to gain us 3 power. And we get to attack. Our attack is 4. And the young Shadeclaw doesn't have any defense, so it just takes 4 damage. I guess to go over its stats real quick, it does have 30 health, 6 attack, 3 move, and 1 willpower. Then we will also gain an extra power from the Strike card. And we have no more bonus actions we want to perform, so we'll slide our cards down and end our turn. Now for our Golemo's turn, we don't have any power, so we're going to go straight into our action, and we'll choose our Stone Roll in slot 4, gaining us 3 power. That's going to let us move up to 3 spaces. And we'll put ourselves right here. And then we get to make an attack. So we only have an attack of 2, but it has 0 defense, so all of that does go through. And the young Shadeclaw has now taken 6 damage. Then the Golemo gains the taunt token. Now, since we have the taunt token, and the young Shadeclaw does attack for 6, so any extra defense we can get is going to be helpful. So while we have the Stone Roll face up, we do gain defense for every Quake in range 1, so we will go ahead and use a bonus action to place 1 Quake next to us. And then our cards will move down, and we'll end our turn and go over to the young Shadeclaw. Okay, so let's draw its card to see who it's targeting. Okay, and it is the person with taunt, the Golemo. That's exactly what we wanted. It has a lot more health to take these big hits than the young Emberling. So it does not need to rush because it is adjacent, so we just get attacked for 6. We have 1 defense because our Quake in range 1. So our Golemo takes 5 damage, meaning it's now taken 11 damage just like that. And then it is going to retreat. We have a couple different options, but I think we like the idea of getting it into a corner, so we're going to put it over here. And now next turn, we know it's going to be doing its triangle ability, which says to place 1 shadow in range 2. Then it's going to retreat, and each shadow is going to attack. And if we were facing up against a light Mystling, each shadow would then attack again, but that doesn't apply to any of our current Mystlings. Now we go to the Golemo. For our Golemo, we're not going to start with the bonus action, and we're going to go and use our Soil Feed. That's going to gain us 2 power. Then we get to place 1 Quake token in range 2. Then after that, we get to gain 1 power for each Quake token in range 2, so that's going to give us another 2, giving us a total of 5 power. And it is not a water Mystling, so we will not be able to move. And I think getting a lot of these Quake tokens out, the earlier the better. That way we have some amount of defense, so we can try to get the Golemo as the target is going to be helpful. So we will go ahead and tromp again for another Quake token. And we'll move our cards down and end the Golemo's turn. For our young Emberling, we will start out with a dash. And then we will choose to use our Flaming Bite in position 3, gaining us 2 power. That will let us move again, so we'll move to this position. Then we get to attack with a Pierce of 1, but it doesn't have any defense that would matter for this attack, so we just get to deal 4 again since there are still no shadows out. And the young Shadeclaw has now taken 10 damage out of its 30. Then last, we will give it Burn in range 1. And I don't think we've actually done this yet, but let's go ahead and use our other bonus action, our elemental bonus action, Fury, to make another attack for 4. So that's going to cost us all 5 of our power. But we have now put a sizable dent in the young Shadeclaw. That's 14 out of its 30 health. And we'll slide our cards down and end our turn. Of course, the young Emberling gained the taunt from that as well. Okay, we'll move our cards down and draw for our target. Okay, and it is the Mystling with taunt, which is our young Emberling. So we are going to place 1 shadow in range 2. And now, even though these are represented by elemental tokens on the card, they don't follow the same rules. Because they are summons, they cannot be placed into the same spaces as other Mystlings. And then each shadow attacks. Now, it's also important to notice for the young Shadeclaw that it has a maximum of 2 tokens, so it can only have 2 shadows on the board. And if you look at the shadows card, it has an attack of 3, so our young Emberling gets attacked for 3, and it's taken 5 damage. It has 9 HP remaining. And sorry, retreat would have happened before the shadow attacked, but it wouldn't really affect anything. The furthest away it can get from our young Emberling is going to be next to the Golemo, actually. And then that will be the end of its turn. And now, because there is a shadow on the board, when this burn gets discarded, it won't actually take any damage. And now our young Emberling will start us off. We don't have any power, so we're going to go to our action and choose Flame Burst. We gain 2 power. And then we get to deal 2 magic damage to each opponent in range 2, and we will start with the shadow, which will get rid of it. And now that the shadow's gone, that allows us to target the young Shadeclaw for some damage. It does have 1 willpower because it has the imminent corruption, so only 1 will go through, but now it has taken 15 damage. That's half of its health. And we're not going to spend any more bonus actions, so we'll move our cards down and go to the Golemo. All right, at the start of the Golemo's turn, I think we want to use a prepare action, so we'll discard a power and get rid of our mud field because we're not going to be able to use it to deal weak because it is not a water Mystling, and because it has so much movement, I think it's going to be hard to actually get it to get slow in range 1. So we'll move everything down and see what else we can get. Okay, not exactly what we wanted to see. But now going to our action, I think we will choose to use our Primal Shot, gaining us 2 power. There are no shadows, so we get to deal 2 in range 2. It has the 1 willpower, so it only does take the 1, but that does give our Golemo the taunt. And now I think we want to go ahead and use our elemental bonus action Unity to place any card from our discard pile on top of our discard pile. And we of course want our Stone Roll so we can get 2 defense from those Quakes in range 1. Now we'll move everything down and end our turn. All right, we'll slide everything down here and see what our target is going to be. We are also at the special ability icon, so that will be triggering at the end of our turn. Okay, and it is still taunt. Good. So we don't need to rush because we're already adjacent to our target. We will attack for 6. We have 2 defense from our Quake, meaning the Golemo is going to take 4. And so now it's taken 15 damage. It has 9 remaining HP. It will then retreat back into its corner. And now its special ability will activate, which says that it will cleanse weak. And it doesn't have any weak, so that's fine. And then it will rush and attack again for the Golemo. So right back to it, another 4 damage attack. And now the Golemo only has 5 remaining HP. This is not looking good for us. Thankfully, there are no shadows in the arena because it would repeat this effect for each shadow, then discard them all. So now at least we can go back to our Mystling's turn, and man, if we can do 14 damage in 1 turn, that would be wonderful, but I am dubious. And with our Golemo, we're really limited on what we can do this turn. So we have no power for a bonus action. We will start with our Earth Shield in slot 3. That will gain us 2 power. And we get to place a Quake in range 1. And now we will spend 1 power to dash and put ourselves right in the middle. So if we do get attacked, we at least have 4 defense. And that's it for the Golemo. So we'll slide everything down and go to Young Emberling. And I think the best thing we can do with the Young Emberling this turn, we're not going to do a bonus action. We'll go ahead and use our Flaming Bite to gain 2 power. We will then move next to the Young Shadeclaw. And we attack with Pierce, but the Pierce isn't going to matter. That's going to be 4 damage. And now the Young Shadeclaw has taken 20 damage. And then we also get to deal it a burn in range 1. And that's really going to be everything for the Young Emberling as well. So we'll slide everything down and go to the Young Shadeclaw. Okay, for the square ability, it is going to be retreating and then placing a shadow in range 4. Let's see what our target is going to be. Okay, still the person with taunt. We haven't seen any of the others yet, but I believe I forgot which one it is. Yeah, you can see we have all four of the triangles in here, so we know at least one triangle is going to be other, which makes this really scary because both of us are in low HP. So if it targets the wrong person at the wrong time, we could be really messed up because if one of our Mistlings dies, that's it for the whole party. We will just lose. So its target is, the taunt should have changed over to the young Emberling. And when it retreats, it's going to go left here. And then it will place one shadow in range 4. And we're going to place the shadow right here. And luckily, that is it. No damage will be done. And the burn condition falls off, but there's a shadow on the board, so it doesn't take damage. Okay, for our young Emberling's turn, we're going to start with a dash. And then we'll use our Flame Burst, gaining us 2 power. And that does put us at 5, meaning our Flame Burst will deal 4 damage each. So we'll take out this shadow first. And now that there are no shadows, the young Shadeclaw can be damaged for another 3 because it has 1 willpower. And now with 5 power, we'll go ahead and use our Fury again for another attack for 4. And that is it for our young Emberling. Our young Shadeclaw has taken 27 damage. We only have to get 3 more damage off. We don't have any attacks on the board with the Golemo, so it's looking kind of scary. So we would really like to draw some form of attack here. So we are going to attempt to prepare, and I think our Guardian stance isn't as useful right now as, say, our Earth Shield. Okay, that is exactly what we needed to draw into, because now we will choose our Stone Roll. All right, and we get to move. There are no shades on the board. We attack. We only have an attack of 2. The young Shadeclaw has 3 HP remaining, but we have our red berries. We will discard these to give ourselves +1 attack, meaning we are attacking for 3, and we beat the young Shadeclaw. Oh my goodness, that is so satisfying because these fights, ever since the tutorial, I thought the tutorial was a little simple, and that makes sense for tutorial. I was kind of expecting the fights to be easier for longer because I know everyone's always talking about how this is one of the lighter Awakened Realms games, and it is, I guess, but wow, they have really made these combats feel super tight and satisfying. I mean, our Golemo had 5 HP, our young Emberling had 3. That was awesome. So we get to go now. With a win, go to script B91. With a last-ditch effort, your Mystling pushes the Shadeclaw away. It yelps and runs toward the winged figure, who picks it up with surprising tenderness. You feel the gaze of their fiery eyes before they turn back, flee south, and disappear among the trees. You hear the dragon sigh behind you. The visions are returning. Now each Mystling took part of the combat heals up to half, so our Golemo will heal up to 12, and our young Emberling will heal up to 7. And we get to add the young Shadeclaw, card 151, into our Mystling Encyclopedia. We will then clear the arena, and we gain the Light in the Shadow Part 1 status. We then either choose to focus on the visions or focus on the dragon's emotions. Now, if I just try to think about how we've been playing this game so far and our choices in the adventure phase, we've gained 2 of the empathy statuses, so I think we're going to choose to focus on the dragon's emotions, just to stay kind of consistent with our role-playing. You open yourself to the dragon's feelings, trying to understand its needs, and you're overcome with a feeling similar to the one you have when you make a bond with a Mystling, but tenfold stronger. The dragon is trying to protect the world from an ancient danger that once cast darkness over those lands. It is desperate, thus needing strength from an inferior entity, you. It wants to see its siblings again and knows its wish won't come true. It's dying. Its siblings are in danger, trying to close other portals, and you, human, must find the places from the visions. And now we go to script B97. You're snapped out of your thoughts as the dragon abruptly jumps away from the portal and roars for the last time. From its mouth, a stream of pure energy strikes the dark line. The line gets thinner and thinner until it's no wider than a finger. The stream also diminishes as the dragon coughs and spits blood. Eventually, the dragon falls to the ground but raises its head to look at you. Then it sighs warily, and your skin prickles as it is enveloped by warm air. The dragon doesn't draw another breath, though. Its open eyes grow cloudy. You look around, overwhelmed, and see that some Mistlings finally get up from the ground and look at you with fear and respect. Then they scatter and escape. You look down at your own hands and you want to escape too. They shimmer with a strange light that sinks into your skin, making you dizzy and scared. Finally, the gleam appears, and you feel oddly energized. You don't like this feeling at all. Now we gain 1 essence, and this is the first time I'm seeing this mechanic, so I'm not quite caught up on what that does yet, but I will for sure find out before we need to know. And now we go to script B68. You shake off the unsettling feeling and focus on what's important right now. You will think about these events, this tragedy later. But right now, you must pursue the invaders from probably the other side of the gap in reality, from the world basked in darkness. You must also check on Careberg. Who knows what happened to the city during the powerful earthquake that shook the ground when you were at the ruins? You also hope that the invaders didn't go there, if they could defeat the Dragon Guardian. What's worse, you still remember the visions, the floating islands with the red crystal, and the feeling of loneliness when lost in the darkness. But you will focus on this problem later. All right, congratulations, you've reached the end of the scenario. And now we will take the world map. We will flip world map card 2 to explored. We remove world map card 1, gain world map card 3, unexplored side up. Your town awaits your return. And we gain world map card 4, unexplored side up. The assailants from the dark world are getting away. And now we get to the fun part. We get to open a random booster, see what new cards we've unlocked for deck building. And if you're a seasoned card pack cracker like myself, you know we save the legendaries for last. So let's look through these. We've gained Kindling, a really good card for our young Emberling. So no matter where it is on the slot, we're going to get at least 1. And then as long as they have no defense, we're going to get another 2, but at least another 1 from this. So pretty good. We've gained Stomp. We deal 3 magic damage and silence to each opponent in range 2. Then we reduce this damage by the opponent's defense instead of willpower. Okay, so that would have been really good against the Shade Claw that had no defense but willpower. And then while this is face up, we also get +2 attack, which is going to be really good for boosting our Earthling's attack. Like our Golemo, that's only 2, pretty weak. But when we add this, it's a little bit more of a chance to be more of a powerhouse. And we don't have any Dark Mistlings yet, but now we also have Starving Bolt. We deal 3 magic damage in range 3 for every 3 neutral cards in our discard pile. And then if this would be against a Light Mistling, we get to trigger. For our Wind Mistlings like the Furwing we just tamed, we have Wind Tunnel. We get to blink X, where X is your movement, and then trigger. For our Light Mistlings, we have Blinding Radiance. Discard all power and resolve the corresponding effect. All right, so for 0 to 3, deal 2 magic in any range. 4 to 8, deal 6 and slow in any range. Or 9 to 10, deal 9, slow and weak in any range. That is huge. That's basically almost kind of like another really strong bonus ability. And now we get some of our ultra rares. For our Fire Mistling, we have Combustion. We get to deal 2 magic damage with Pierce 1 and range 2 for each burn on the opponent. Okay, so if we want to try to go for a burn build, our Water Mistlings also get an ultra rare. If you are in a petal space, you get to move and then move again. If you're in the moon space, you attack and attack. Or if you're in the flower space, you attack +2 with Drain. And for our shiny legendary, for our Earth Mistling, we have Nature's Patience. You get to gain a power, and then this is an upgrade. So it gives you another bonus action. You can spend 1 power to release Wrath and deal X magic damage in range 2, where X is your defense. So that powers really well with the Golemo and stacking up those Quake tokens. Then we get to take our advancement deck, shuffle it, draw 8 cards. We would subtract 1 for each fatigue in our Mistling decks, but none of us have any fatigue. And we'll get to choose 3 of these neutral cards that can go into any Mistling deck. And out of these options, I would definitely like to see some more ability to heal in our deck, so we'll grab a Regeneration. I also like the idea of just being able to get more power, so we'll also grab a Channeling. And let's also try to get something a little offensive, so we'll try out a Bite Back. And now we would remove all fatigue in our Mistlings if we had any, but we do not. We get to fully heal all of our Mistlings, and then we get to save the game. So that is the end of Scenario 2 for Dragon Eclipse. This has been Solo Party. My name is Kane, and I will see you all next time. Thanks for watching.